This is the last recorded footage of a guy who went missing. Retention, watch, boom, explosion. Yo, guys, it's ARG protagonist number 1,427,526 here. Today I'm gonna investigate a spooky noise I heard. Yeah, it was real scary. It's, it came from down here. If I don't come back, tell my cat that he's on his own. Oh my god, it's like a strange place with chairs and stuff. Oh, we're gonna have to get past. Oh my god, it's so dark in here. Oh my god, what is that? Well, now that I am well and truly dead by the horrors of the VHS scary creatures, I can finally start to try to understand why exactly VHS-based horror is so prevalent in today's media. I understand the appeal of found footage type horror, as it almost connects on a personal level, that it's something that wasn't meant to be viewed, that traditional slasher/horror movies/games cannot simulate. I mean, ever since the release of The Ring in 1998, by Japanese director Hideo Nakata and the more popular American remake of the same name, released in 2002, horror featuring VHS tapes blew up in popularity. But what exactly is it about staticky footage, timestamps, and a first-person POV that scares so many people? To answer this question, I dived into the depths of itch.io. I picked out 3 games at random: the VHS Paradise, VHS 1986, and Discover the Ocean. I will be analysing the content of these short horror games to try and come to some conclusion as to why exactly it is scary. I'm hoping that the random nature of selecting these games can help expand my perspective on not only horror featuring VHS tapes, but also horror as a genre as a whole. Oh, and the best part? I get scared extremely easy, especially in horror games. And once again, time for the obligatory shill. If you do enjoy this video at any point, please make sure to like and subscribe, as the engagement provided by the act for a small channel such as mine would be invaluable. Thank you either way, and let's get into the video.
What do you mean?
The first game we will be covering today is the game VHS Paradise, made by user fordev on itch.io, which puts you in the shoes of an employee of a VHS store working the night shift as you stop shoplifters and make sure to sell some VHSs to people who don't decide to run out of the store. My night began with the character walking into the store, into the back room where a note was laid, stating, "Hi Robert, I hope you are well. I hit this damn fever, but I'm recovering. Remember to start your shift by turning on the computer. I've left a good movie for you to watch when you finish your work." We can glean 2 pieces of important information from this note. First, that our player character is called Robert, but second, that of course, Robert is going to be alone tonight to deal with the shop. Not sure what else I expected considering it's a horror game, but regardless of this, our player forges on and starts his shift. The first customer comes into the store and starts to look around while I'm distracted repeatedly ringing the service bell on the front desk, completely missing the man picking up a VHS tape, only noticing when it's too late to catch him as he runs out of the door. Ah well, I'm sure it'll be fine. What's one tape in the grand scheme of everything? I mean, when you think about it, what really is a tape?
Huh?
Philosophical questions aside, the night continues. But the next time a customer comes in, a woman this time, I maneuver from behind the counter and instead follow her around, watching like a hawk, like an overzealous Asda security guard hounding any slightly suspicious customers, until she attempts to pick up a tape and run. This time, however, I am there and ready, stopping her in her tracks before she can abscond into the night with my precious tapes. As I catch her, she says, "Please, it is my son's birthday. He is 7 years old and money, have mercy. But she forgets that I, Robert, have no mercy for those who wish to violate the sanctity of my tapes, so I call the police. The last thing I hear related to her is the fading sirens in the distance getting further away as she is whisked to the prison she deserves. After I deal with that trespasser, I return to my post, watching as another customer enters the store. Once again, I leave my desk to follow this new customer around as he looks at several different tapes, till he finally decides on which one he wants, bringing it to the desk and ringing the service bell. The following conversation ensues. Hello friend, I want to buy this movie. Excellent, finally. Finally what? I have finally reached 100 movies purchased. I love collecting these wonders. Do you even watch the movies? No, I don't see them. I buy them just to decorate my house. Okay. You gonna pay or what? Ah, yes, take it. Thank you very much. This strange old man then takes his leave, exiting the shop with apparently yet another tape. As he fades into the darkness of this unnamed nondescript city, another customer enters. This time, another woman, who picks up a tape quite quickly and goes to the desk to rent it, saying, Hi, I'm taking this movie with me for 2 days. How much do I have to pay? Hi, it's $3. You will love this movie. It's one of my favorites. Okay, here you go. I don't have time to chat. This street is very dangerous at night. Bye. After she leaves, an old man enters the store. He looks slightly like a My Singing Monsters character, but wrinklier. And he also goes around the store taking his time to locate the VHS that he wants. Once he does, he grabs it and comes to the counter, initiating dialogue. Naughty rabbits and a sexy adventure. Do you want to buy it or rent it? I want to buy it! Okay, it's $20. Here is the money. I am surprised you are the only cashier who doesn't look at me with disgust or rejection when he sees that I want to buy a movie like that. The gameplay now expands a little here, prompting 4 dialogue options. And what you answer here will determine what happens for the ending, so be careful. This is like a Life is Strange or Telltale style, creepy old man will remember that moment. But for this interaction I picked, I also like the movie, the scenes are very exciting. That's right, my name is Kyle, what's your name? I'm Robert. Nice to meet you, can I ask you a question? Sure. Are you happy in this job? Do you fulfill your dreams here? Why do you ask that? I am curious. No, the truth is that I'm not happy. It was never in my plans to work in a VHS store. My boss does everything he can to make me have a good time, but the truth is that it doesn't work. It makes me very sad to hear that. Well, it was nice meeting you, Robert. I hope to see you soon. Also, bye. After Kyle leaves, nearly instantly the car alarm of Robert's car goes off, so we go outside to turn it off. The ambience of the street is creepy, but nothing happens. We return to the back room to close up the shop and watch the movie our boss left us. The game cuts up to just after we watch the movie, stating that, what a mediocre movie. I have never seen such a predictable ending. I wonder what John saw in this to recommend it to me. Before anyone has the chance to clock onto the fact that this is probably the Borderlands movie, Robert turns around to be met with a masked assailant that was standing right behind him. A chase scene ensues, and I, of course, immediately failed. Whilst I would like to say that this scared me, this is a live recording of the moment. Scary. After being hit over the head, Robert wakes up in a small room in front of a TV with a VHS player lying on top of it. A video playing with a blue background with text saying "Naughty rabbits and a sexy adventure" popping into the frame. The strange old man from earlier, Kyle, must have kidnapped us for our apparent interest in the movie, dooming us to an eternity trapped with him, presumably rewatching this and other dirty films until our protagonist's untimely demise. This, however, isn't everything that the game has to offer, with the game fading to black after the last scene and displaying 1 out of 3 endings. Missing. The other two endings are honestly about as equally disappointing. For the second ending, I didn't want to replay the entire game just to redo the chase sequence, so here is some footage from elsewhere. It's also in the description if you want to check them out. It involves you escaping Kyle to your car and driving away to safety. However, this is short-lived as you die in a car accident on your way home, your brakes seemingly failing, and you rear-end a bus. So even in this ending, you seemingly still get taken out by Kyle, achieving ending 2. You died in a traffic accident. The third ending is obtainable by the dialogue choices earlier, where if you instead had answered with the third or fourth option, Kyle would have decided not to attack you, instead letting you watch the Borderlands movie and return home safely. Achieving ending 3. You arrived home safely. And that was the entirety of the VHS Paradise. It wasn't bad, and honestly, considering that it's a game they give out for essentially free, it's an effective game of what it's trying to do. As funny as I did find the jump scare of dying, turning around and seeing this killer still made me jump a little. It was a fun little experience, although I'm not sure how much it tells us about how VHS horror scares you. So far, we have established that VHSs can scare you through primarily jump scares, as demonstrated basically through the only actual scare in this game. However, that general idea gets somewhat challenged by our next game, Discover the Ocean, made by itch.io user Walkers. Discover the Ocean is quite different to our previous game, in that it's more of a cinematic experience dispersed with some gameplay section focusing on underwater exploration. Who could have guessed it? It also features sections not in the game itself, but we will cover that later. Also, the game refused to full screen for me, so I'm going to have to put the game overlaid with some blurry gameplay footage or something else. So sorry if the footage is either low quality or the gameplay is distracting. Bonus points though if you can guess what game the footage is from. Anyway, back to the analysis. The game begins in a sort of PowerPoint, with a blue background with the title, The Ocean, a world of mystery and secrets. It then goes on to document a bunch of ocean facts, like the fact that only 5% of the ocean has been explored, that over 15% of all life on Earth dwells in the ocean, and that life itself originated from the ocean. After this, it invites us to look ourselves under the ocean, introducing the main means of player interaction, the CDPV, the Compact Diver Propulsion Device, that will allow us to explore the depths that the human body is unable to reach. It then gives us control to allow us to drive towards a glowing red dot, and when we reach it, it displays a photo of some jellyfish, then giving us the fact that jellyfish are the oldest multicellular animals on the planet. However, that gets interrupted with distortion and the message, "This is a lie." The video then returns to normal, not acknowledging the disturbance and further inviting us to explore deeper. Once again returning us to control to repeat the same thing as last time. This time, however, we see footage of sharks instead, giving us this fact about them. Sharks are one of the deadliest predators in the ocean. As a result, it is difficult to imagine them as prey. This once again gets interrupted by distortion and more text stating that everything is prey. However, once again the video returns to normal, and we are again invited to continue our search. This time, however, once you reach the red dot, the same distortion plays, and footage of some unidentified marine life plays on screen of what looks like some smaller creatures eating, attacking, or scavenging a larger corpse of something. After a few seconds of this footage, it rolls back to the initial Discover the Ocean page before cutting to this. Well, this may seem like the end of the experience, which, while short, was still quite disturbing. However, we are not done yet. On the final screen, there is a seemingly random line of text and numbers. However, if you listen to the voice in the background, it is saying letters in the phonetic alphabet, spelling out P, A, S, T, E, B, I, N, which spells out paste bin. This gives us a clue as to where to use the mysterious code. Adding the code to a pastebin link gives us a page featuring a seemingly useless string of characters. However, I discovered that if you use a Caesar cipher with a shift of 13, it changes the completely useless characters into a usable link. This new page needed a password to enter. I tried multiple different things like password, ocean, even types of sea layers like abyssal or hadal, but none worked. Then I remembered back to the video, and the distorted bit that said that everything is prey. So I tried prey in full caps, and boom, we were in. There are a few things of note on this page. Primarily the huge ASCII art of a human-looking skeleton with words like immolation, gills, breathing? Labeled on it. However, I also noticed several decodable portions of text within the paste bin, the first being at the top, and a seemingly random sequence of numbers. But I recognized these as being decimal, so I ran it through a decimal to ASCII converter, which gave me this page, a scrollable chart that goes meter by meter to the bottom of the ocean while showing us the different types of species that live in certain depths. Definitely informative, but no further information can be gleaned from this site towards the greater story, so I set my sights on the other two portions of the site. Unfortunately, however, these seem to produce similar unrelated results. There was Morse code near the bottom that I ran through a Morse code translator, but these seem to be more informative content about the unknowable depths of the ocean rather than any further information about the ARG. And honestly, I think this may be it. It does say on the gamesitch.io site that it was made in a few hours for a game jam, so I believe that this is the end of the content of the game. If you want to see the site for yourself, I'll link it down in the description, as it is still really cool. Overall, Discover the Ocean is an extremely cool, if not similarly short, horror experience. Whilst it didn't have much of a grand narrative or even many answers, I think that this perfectly fits into what it was trying to communicate. Some things aren't meant to be known, or even cannot be known, and the fear of what could be out there that this game instilled is honestly far scarier than anything any over-explained monster from most modern ARGs could instill. Additionally, whilst this did turn out to be more ARG-based than game-based, I still think that the techniques used in the game and surrounding ARG can and do help us understand how VHSs scare us, and if we learn that jump scares were a method that VHS is typically used to scare us from the previous game, I believe that we can gather that building suspense and dread in a format that is otherwise seen in a non-horror light is also integral to the genre. And finally, we will be moving on Finally, we come to VHS 1986, made by Adam Pipe, who also made the massively popular horror game No Players Online. This game is different. Instead of offering more horror elements, it seems to focus on puzzle elements rather than pure horror, which is a welcome change from the first two games. It offers an interesting view on how to make horror featuring VHSs that isn't solely focused on, well, horror. The game begins with a view of a sparse room, furnished only by a cabinet full of VHS tapes that serve as the primary method of interaction throughout the game. A TV with a VHS player on top, which is where you put the VHSs you can retrieve from the cabinet. A strange piece of interactable paper in the shape of a clock with strange symbols, which serve as the puzzle that needs to be solved. And a phone off in the darkness that surrounds the room, which serves as the game's only method of storytelling. Outside of cryptic imagery, which of course I accidentally skipped the first round of exposition, but through the power of editing, here it is. Hey Matt, listen up. Those tapes I gave you, I need them back. I actually meant to give you a few of my blank tapes. The ones I gave you were not mine to give. I had been holding them for some Dutch guy. I'll be at the Kmart near your house tomorrow, 10 PM. Be there. This call gives us significant context as to what the hell is going on, with our player character, Matt, borrowing some tapes that aren't his and that he shouldn't watch. We, of course, immediately disregard our friend's advice and play the first tape. The following tape is cryptic to say the least, featuring cryptic footage from July 2nd, 1986, interspliced with samples from a news interview about the banning of cigarette ads. The footage ends with a segment claiming that a news article about the Monroe-DiMaggio marriage would follow. Whilst this was certainly interesting, we swiftly moved on, going to insert the next tape when the phone once again started blaring. Picking it up, the caller on the other end was once again our friend, this time telling us, Never mind, can you meet now instead? The guy won't stop calling me, so I need them right away. This dude is really starting to freak me out. See you soon. Before I even have a chance to register the first call, we receive a second, significantly more concerning call. Give me back my tapes. You have 2 hours. Whilst that is certainly ominous, we still forge ahead with watching the tapes, and place the second VHS in the player. The majority of the tape, taking place on the 16th of March 1986, follows a man around a city as he wanders the street at night. It continues this until cutting to text flashing that says, tracking, as the music cuts out and we can see what appears to be something through some trees. However, before we can get a good look at it, the person filming turns back around after hearing a noise, seeing a car reversing, then the tape ends. Whilst this also is certainly perplexing, with perhaps the most interesting being that the footage following the tracking section takes place 6 days after the rest of the footage, it's still quite unclear as to what the tapes are trying to tell us. But undaunted, once again, we carry on viewing the tapes. Placing the third tape in the player, we are greeted with footage of a man speaking presumably Belgian, as that is the nationality of the dev, walking down a street, followed by footage playing of the person filming seemingly exploring the town. The footage concludes with nothing particular of note, just more random exploration. After that tape concludes, we receive yet another call, this time thankfully from our friend. Hey, did that guy just call you? I'm really sorry about that. I don't know how he got your number. Can you give back his tapes though? And his poster too while you're at it. But of course, our protagonist just carries on and places the final tape in the cabinet in the player. It starts with footage of a seeming advertisement of a place called the Lafayette Center, produced by a collaboration between the Far Duet Corporation and Warner Mechanical Corporation. From what I can find online, the Lafayette Center appears to be a real place dedicated to post-production, but I'm not sure what the correlation is. The tape then cuts to a seeming continuation of the last tape, taking place on the same day as the previous recording, as the recorder explores more of the city as the day fades into night. Finally, it cuts to a new segment on a court case about whether to ban cigarette advertising or not, followed by testimony by a speech by Henry Wexman, stating the risks of cigarettes and why they should be banned. The tape concludes, leaving us with even more questions. Once more, the phone rings. Are you there? He's at your house, man. Please give back his tapes, I beg you. This is where the paper with the clock-like structure with a strange symbol comes in. Unlocking like a safe using various symbols spread through the recordings to crack it, I definitely figured this out naturally and did not just Google it. This causes us to unlock the fifth and final tape, which we insert into the player for the last time. The tape begins with seemingly random exploration occurring on the 7th of May and the 9th of March. However, this section of the recording is seemingly insignificant compared to the last section of the recording, cutting to a recording on the 22nd of March 1986, and showing a decayed car late at night, presumably the car we saw earlier in the game, cutting to a brick floor with countless smiley faces drawn upon them crudely, a finished Hangman game, and the letters FCPAKNG. I don't think this means anything, as I ran it through every single cipher I could think of and got nothing, but our attention is quickly shifted away from any of this as a body enters the frame. The words tracking appear once again and the tape cuts to black. However, before it completely ends, a QR code pops up that if you follow, leads to a page with a code that when you decode, gives you the text Sega_S, presumably talking about the Sega Saturn, a Nintendo-made console, but I'm unsure of the relevance. But back to the game. After this tape ends, you receive a final call from your friend. I am so sorry, he's inside your house. I am so sorry. And with that, the game cuts to black. Well, that game was a game. It was certainly experimental, and I did enjoy the more puzzle-based mysterious footage element, but to answer the elephant in the room, what the fuck happened in the story? So from what I can piece together, the tapes were maybe originally all a part of the same tape and separated for some reason, likely to hide the crime, whoever the tape owner killed. Although I am unsure of the relation of the news segments, I'm also unsure how the killer would have implemented tracking devices into the tapes, as I presume that when the tape said tracking, it wasn't tracking in the film, but us, the player. It would explain how he goes from seemingly nowhere near us to literally inside our house. One thing I did discover during my research was that this game was a part of an ARG that the creator was establishing, which is what the Sega Saturn was referring to. So if any of this piqued your interest, make sure to go check it out, but I couldn't find anything modern on it. All the stuff I could find was like 3 years old, so there might be some sort of a trail, but I am not that determined to find it, so that's all up to you, viewer. So I'll answer the question of the video. What does VHS 1986 teach us about why VHSs are scary? Well, much like our last game, it certainly shows that VHSs can be used to a great extent in establishing mystery. But I think that the primary thing we can take away from this game is the potential for terror when you perverse the old with the new. By this I mean, by allowing the VHSs to use more modern ideas like live tracking or location, brings more terror by taking this thing that most people either consider a staple of their childhood or an established old thing, and giving it features that you wouldn't expect it to have, which enhances the horror. So to conclude, VHSs are scary for a variety of reasons, but the one primary reason, at least in my own opinion, is the taking of something familiar to a lot of people, or to others to something just old enough to be mysterious but not old enough to be ancient, and twisting it into something scary, playing on our expectations to produce something to scare us. The different ways that this can be achieved are demonstrated perfectly through the free games that I've covered today, shown more simply with VHS Paradise, showing us the eases to which jumpscares can be inserted to make horror, to inserting a mystery that utilizes the medium of VHS to establish an enigmatic ARG and discover the ocean, or even the blending of old footage with fairly new terrors in VHS 1986. As technology evolves, VHS horror may seem outdated, but its ability to evoke primal emotions remains timeless. It's a testament to the power of storytelling and the enduring appeal of the unknown. Thanks for watching the video. Sorry if it seemed a bit scatterbrains at times. It was written throughout an illness where I was on quite a lot of pain meds and made my brain very foggy. But I'm mostly better now and hoping to make more videos. So if you enjoyed even a little, make sure to like and subscribe and even turn on notifications for the next video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.